This week, my son and I spent a little bit of time rescuing toys of color from Toys R Us. Why is that? Well, what I've noticed is over the time that I've visited Toys R Us with my son, toys of color or characters of color in toys are always clearanced significantly, including Winston from the Ghostbusters and my favorite powerhouse character, powerhouse woman, Storm from the X-Men, whose original story actually suggests that she is from Egypt, a street kid from Egypt. So why is it that these characters of color, and I've got a lot of reference point, are always discounted and that white characters are not? To me, that speaks to worth. We hold a low worth and value for people of color in our society. And I've got a friend who used to work at Toys R Us who said it was not uncommon for people or parents to return Barbies of color to be able to pick up white Barbies instead. But there is low value and low worth. So it doesn't matter that representation exists, that we have characters of color, if people in the everyday society are not going to follow up with that and understand and actually act on that worth and that value. Now, if you're a white person who's blind to their privilege, you might think that this is a bit of a reach. But if you're a person of color listening to this, you will recognize that sense of low worth that you have experienced in numerous parts of your life. And the research confirms it. We often talk about the pay gap between men and women. What we know is the pay gap between the lowest earning white people, which is white women, is actually greater between white women and people of color than it is between white women and white men. We have research that confirms that we hold the testimony of people of color at less value. It is less believable. And there's numerous aspects, including in business, that research shows that we tend to hold white leaders with greater value, and we see leaders of color with less value and tend to have more negative views towards them. So our worth of people of color in our society is very low. And so while we work towards representation, that's step one. Step two is actually acting upon it. And that's incumbent upon every member of society. Buy your children toys of color. Hire people of color. But also, you should be questioning if you carry a bias on the worth of people of color. Are people of color more believable? Do we have a gender bias that intersects with people of color? Are we less likely to believe men of color? The research would say yes. This is some work that we have to be able to do. It goes beyond representation and beyond toys. It starts early, and we are responsible for that. This is Dr. Abdulrehman signing off with Storm from the X-Men.